everyone, it's T and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about a horror movie called Rubber. The movie was released in 2010 and it's basically about a tire that develops telekinetic psychokinetic powers and he goes on a killing spree. Now, the reason why I decided to watch the movie was because it sounded really fun. Like, the premise is really schlocky and stupid, and I thought it would be a good time. But unfortunately, it really falls flat. No pun intended. So, the movie starts off where there's a bunch of chairs set up, and the sheriff is giving this speech about how a bunch of things in cinema happens for no good reason, and that there's a lot of things in life that happen for no good reason, and that this movie is basically an homage to that spirit. Great. Good. So far, so good. And so we start to see an audience as well who is watching the events unfold regarding this tire. They're all out there sitting in their little chairs or whatever with binoculars, watching the action in this desert. The tire, whose name is Robert, he suddenly comes to life and he starts standing up and rolling and rolling and rolling. The majority of this movie is just shots of the tire rolling. And as he's rolling along, he starts to develop his psychokinetic powers, basically blowing things up. So, along the way, as he's exploding things, he sees this woman that he finds attractive. He tries to kill her, but he only makes her car stall. As he's rolling towards the stalled car, a truck comes by to run him over, and this breaks the connection that he had with the car, and so the car starts and she drives away. And then there's more shots of the tire rolling, just endless rolling, until he gets to a motel. He sees the woman. He goes to a room next to her, and the maid finds the tire in the shower. The tire apparently has a fascination with TV and taking a shower, so he blows up the maid after she discovers him in the shower and throws him outside. So after that, the sheriff comes back, and he starts to investigate the murder. It goes back to the audience who are still in the desert, and they haven't eaten for days. Not a lot of action is going on apparently, as we can also see. So they haven't eaten for days, and someone who works on the production comes out with the turkey. They all rip the turkey apart, and they all get poisoned and die from abdominal pain, except for one old man in a wheelchair who doesn't eat the turkey. So the sheriff, during his investigation, a timer goes off. He's like, great, all of these fuckers are dead. So time's up, time to go home, blah, blah, blah. And then it's discovered that, the old man in the wheelchair didn't eat, so they have to continue. And so the person who fed them the turkey comes back with an assortment of food for the dude in the wheelchair, and the dude in the wheelchair's like, nah, I'm not going to eat it. And the dude ends up eating it himself and dying while they're having to go through the motions with the rest of the movie. The sheriff there, he goes back to his investigation, and then he sees the tire Robert kill the motel owner. So him and the other cops, they start to hunt down the tire. And the tire sees a pile of burning tires while he's running away and trying to hide from the cops. And he basically goes on a killing spree. They find him in a house just watching a racing program. And so they rig a mannequin up with dynamite to try to coax the tire out and to blow him up. The plan fails, and the mannequin does not blow up. The guy in the wheelchair is kind of heckling the cop throughout this, saying it's a stupid idea, saying it doesn't make sense. So the cop gets frustrated, and then he just blows up the tire with his gun. He just shoots it up off screen, and then he comes out of the house angry and throws the tire at the dude in the wheelchair. A few seconds, well, not even a few seconds later, like a few minutes later, the tire Robert comes back out again, and he's reincarnated as a tricycle. The man in the wheelchair tries to reason with him, like, hey, I'm not, part of the movie. I'm just watching here. Just, no, 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 don't kill me. And the tricycle blows him up. And then the movie pretty much ends, and it's just a long shot of the tricycle going down the road, and then other tires animating, I should say, and then following after him, and there's just now an army of tires led by this tricycle. I did have really high hopes for this film because it does seem it's ridiculous, like a fucking tire with telekinetic powers. Like, it sounds like good schlocky fun, but unfortunately it is not. As I've mentioned, there's just endless scenes where tires just rolling and rolling and rolling. Not a lot of action happens. Most of the killing and violence occurs off screen. The maid gets her head blown off on screen. We also see him just blow up random shit, like I believe a can and a rabbit. So nothing super exciting there as far as the action goes. And it makes the movie kind of boring. What promise it had died pretty much with the killing of the audience. It felt like after that point, the writers, the director, felt like may have written themselves into a corner and was like, oh shit, well, where can we go from here? There's nothing we can really do, so let's just kill off the audience and then pack it up and go home, and then have our characters be annoyed that they still have to continue this or go through this because there's one audience member alive. It just falls really flat. Like I said, it's really boring. There's not a lot of action, and it just overstayed its welcome. Even though it's got favorable reviews, the film received generally positive reviews from critics. Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 69%, and the average score from the audience was 6.04 out of 10. So even though it has good reviews, the movie definitely falls flat. I wouldn't recommend this, not even if you're having like a bad movie night. It's just schlocky and bad, and it's not fun. Any kind of fun that you have with it, pretty much, like I said, dies with the audience. I think that's probably the most fun and delightful part of the film, like the audience watching the action and reacting to it, and then, suddenly they're gone. Oh, hey, there's no one to watch the movie, we can just kind of give up, even though the audience on the other side of the screen is watching everything go down. It kind of felt like they gave up. That's all I really have to say on Rubber. I would not recommend the film. If you're really bored, maybe, and you just kind of wanted to try it out, if anything I said interests you about it, you can go ahead and watch it, but I honestly just kind of would let this film go. It's not really anything to write home about. If you've seen Rubber, let me know what your thoughts are on it. Did you like it? Did you dislike it? Did you have any other kind of things to say about it? Or if there's any kind of other weird schlocky movies you'd like me to talk about, please feel free to leave them down below. Alright guys, I'll see you next time. Bye, 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 bye.